What's going on, Cover Killer Nation? For this review, I could have easily teased my hair up. I could have gotten the proper attire. I could have, gotten a better, more updated, pair of sunglasses. I could have done all sorts of crazy things. I could have gotten 10 girls to surround me just for the hell of it that would laugh at everything that I said because I was paying them. But some people can rock that look, and I unfortunately am not that person. We're here to talk about All You Can Eat, the newest album from Steel Panther. Now, if you don't know who Steel Panther is by now, after their first two albums, especially with the success of Balls Out, then man, you are missing out on something that's actually really, really cool. It's something that really takes the idea of glam metal, an idea that we thought was dead from the 1980s and early 1990s, and kind of takes away all the filters of metaphor and kind of is very, very direct about what most of those people and most of those bands actually wanted to say, or what actually may have really happened. There's a lot of sex talk on here. There are a lot of pop culture references, much like on Balls Out, for those of you who remember that album. But I'm merely talking to those of you who are perhaps new to the fold and don't know much about what Steel Panther is all about. Not to mention, this is something that has big hair, it has big riffs, and that's probably the one thing that makes this and separates this from a lot of the glam metal from back then, which kind of felt a little recycled after some time. I kind of felt like it was kind of going a little bit to the route of being a bit generic. Now that it's been resurrected, and it's not being resurrected by, a new Motley Crue album every 2 years, we have ourselves something that feels very fresh, not to mention it can make a lot of us laugh. Those with a very, very good sense of humor who does not easily get offended by, jokes of the sexual nature, regardless of how they may be. So, let's talk about this release. Let's talk about this album. 12 tracks. More of Steel Panther is always a good thing. That's all I'm going to say just right out of the gate. And the first single that we heard, the first song, our first inclination that a new Steel Panther album was coming was Party Like Tomorrow Is the End of the World, which has been on YouTube now for the past couple of months and has gained some steady acclaim. I kind of dug this track. It was definitely one that told me that the boys were back and they were still in the same writing mode perhaps as they were for Balls Out. They still had some really big hooks. The biggest innovation that I see on this album, the one thing that really kind of took me through a loop, is that they've kind of expanded their horizons to include something of a ballad track or two, as my phone is just going crazy. Steel Panther must be calling me, I don't know. But there are a couple ballad tracks on here. The one that reminds me the most of a traditional one is Bukkake Tears, which definitely is just so beautiful. It's such a beautiful track. I'm, of course, saying this with a lot of, hidden innuendo and hidden, a hidden amount of sarcasm there. But it does have a great tint to it. It does have a great musical flow to it. This is one that easily you could see a band such as a Poison, either that or a Winger perhaps, writing into a very, very loving love song that everybody would just go crazy for, and it would melt off girls' panties because the 1980s were weird. However, that's not the case whatsoever. This is certainly one that takes things a different way, but it still does grip on you a little bit. It grips on you in a weird, sadistic, masochistic way, or chauvinistic way, rather, not masochistic. However, it is still just a really great track, and that's the thing. All of these tracks are very, very good. All of these tracks have a great musical quality to them. The lyricism is definitely one of the strengths and definitely the one thing that you notice the most. However, this is also about the time, 3 albums in, where you need to start to realize and start to notice that as far as constructing songs is concerned, and as far as overall musicianship is concerned, Steel Panther is definitely a very qualified band, and this is because of their experience. They've been in this game for quite some time. This is not their first rodeo. The members of Steel Panther have been around the block before many, many times with many, many different people and probably many different blocks. The one song, though, that for me is the pinnacle of everything, the one song that really just, speaks All You Can Eat, if you really want to go that route with this, is If I Was the King. I love this track. I play this track on repeat at least 5 or 6 times a day over the course of the past couple of days, and really I think it's just because of the overall concept of it, the idea of it, and just the fact that a track like this exists where lyrically speaking, Michael Starr sat down and actually thought about this and actually made this track what it was as far as the lyricism is concerned is just mind-blowing and fantastic. I think we all owe him perhaps a write-in ballot on the next presidential election whenever that comes in 2016, because he has some pretty good ideas, you know, buying hand grenades at Starbucks, taking a shit right out on the street. If he was the king, Megan Fox would be his queen, which we may not all agree with, but he would kill Katy Perry so he didn't have to hear her sing, and he would also execute One Direction, which for most people here on this channel is a welcome change, something that we would, you know, in open arms say, yes, Michael Starr, yes, President King Michael Starr, we bow to you and your greatness, and that which you have done for us will not be forgotten. You shall actually have a place on Mount Rushmore. In fact, fuck Mount Rushmore, we're going to knock that shit down, and Steel Panther shall be the new Mount Rushmore. This is a really great album. This is awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's an album that doesn't take itself very seriously, and whenever you're in a band such as Steel Panther, you really can't take yourself all of that seriously unless you're marketing yourself, and then you have to kind of take yourself seriously in a ridiculous way, which makes no sense, but it's what you have to do. It's a weird paradigm. It's a weird dynamic, and that's why bands like this I instantly like to gravitate to, especially whenever they're able to execute their product and execute their jokes and execute everything about the album and the songs very, very well, such as Steel Panther does with All You Can Eat. So this is an album I have to give high marks to. I have to give it an 84 out of 10. 84 out of 10, man, it's like 8,400% approval, which is probably fair, but it's 84 out of 100. I would give it a 69 out of 100 for the sake of irony. However, that would actually be a really low score, and people would be like, what the fuck? So I have to be legit about that. However, I would give it 69 69s out of 69, which is a lot of 69s. I don't want to do that addition because that would make my head hurt. My head's already throbbing based around the whole 84 out of 10, whatever. All You Can Eat, Steel Panther, coming out here in a couple of days on April the 1st. This is definitely an album to get. This is an album to buy. You want to own this. The cover is, it features the Last Supper painting, which is very, very famous, only with Steel Panther on there, and that cover alone is worth owning. But then you listen to the music and you realize the whole damn package is worth owning. See these guys live. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun, and if you can't really, you know, have an appreciation for this humor, and if you can't have an appreciation for what this band is doing, do yourself a really, really big favor, and I'm actually going to give you a bit of a visual aid. You're probably sitting down to watch this, so stand up, bend over, hand, left hand, right hand, I don't care. If you're lefty, do it with the left. If you're righty, do it with the right. Reach back here, and do everything in your power to pull the motherfucking stick out of your ass. I'll talk to you guys later.